going. I haven't recorded a video for 2 weeks now. Um, so quite a bit to cover. I think I'll split it into two videos. I'm not going to do an everyday update of stuff to do that I just don't have the prioritizing other projects, and so daily updates are a bit too time consuming, so I'll maybe do like one a week, or every couple of days I'll maybe just play it by ear. So I'll cover the last 2 weeks now in two videos and then move on to that. Yeah, so I've been immersing myself in the other stuff, and so what I need to do is learn how to edit nicely so that I don't end up repeating myself and say like and the whole time, and then it's not great for viewership. See, I think where I left off, I had just started feeling ecstatic sensations in my body because of the yogic practices that I've been involved in, and that has pretty much continued. And that has also then allowed me to see on a much more finer gradient where the line is between overwhelm and eustress. And you kind of I've like had to break the line to like see where it is, and then I've had to like come back. But I think that's also very good practice. I think Ido Portal says if you can't go out of line, then you're weak. Out of alignment, then you're weak. And I see what he means by that. Because of the vulnerability, I suppose, of my nervous system that happens quite easily, that I go into overwhelm. I think it's going to take a lot of time to gradually build up the capacity again, but one of the cool lessons has been being able to come back. Like there's always a way back, and to find that way back, and then of course that this is all managing symptoms and stuff, and the goal ultimately would be to have a regular system that doesn't need regulating because it's regular, but strategies are required when it's not, and you do what you can. I was initiated into HIHMEB Yoga with Paramahamsa Sri Vishwananda. His organization Bhakti Marga, the Kriya Yoga, comes down from Mahavatar Babaji himself, and is an amazing practice. It's what brought me back to my Atma, or soul, and probably it's misplaced there. And my life has really changed around since I started doing that. So putting that out there. Went to a refresher course for the HIHMEB the other day and last week, because I lost my manual and I didn't practice for a couple months because I got involved with fundamentalist fanatical Christian stuff, and that was not allowed. That's a whole nother story. I just had an idea for a video segment, story time, depending on if my stories are interesting. But many ideas. So I've been coming into the understanding of the quantum realm, if I can speak like that. Well, of course I can speak like that. That's what it is. But it's just a way of speaking about it. More friendly to the culture, I suppose, using scientific words. Uh, and claiming the power that it's has been given to me as a birthright in being able to create reality, create my own reality, and a lot of the self-limiting beliefs and crippling narratives that have been in the way of that have been alleviated. It's been quite a long process, but it's coming to the point now where it's like taking that initiatory step into creation. And it truly is remarkable how, if one remains present, and that is also a journey to be able to maintain presence throughout the day. What you put out there gets reflected back, and maybe there's different modes in which different systems operate, but it seems that my system, um, things come to me, which is it's been eye-opening and relieving and quite beautiful to watch it happen. And we're just in the beginning of this now. That first breath of fresh air is always the sweetest. And yes, I started. One thing I've been encouraged to do is to get in front of people and have face to faces, in order for these things that I'm putting out in the universe to show themselves, and to get out in the world. I've been quite a recluse. Um, it's how I've dealt with the sensitivity of my system, um, and not having the tools to deal with it in this world. But I have the tools now, and I have the tools now, and I'm getting better at using them and knowing when to use them and how to use them, etc. So time to get out there. So I'll just briefly talk about two encounters. The ones um, is with, like, I'm wanting to offer what I know about movement to the world, and just by existing truthfully, somebody came to me and uh, asked me for assistance. Um, so I obviously was more than happy to share, and I did, and I will see what happens with that. And then another thing is that I've been um, wanting to see how I fit with the whole martial arts world and stuff. That's an area of movement that has been um, overlooked, I suppose, and it also relates to that face-to-face thing. Like, yeah, everything has been just sorting this thing out, and then it's like, oh, okay, now there's others, and how do I? And being a male, the how one works with aggression, I think, is very important. And so I've just been meeting fighters just out of the blue. Um, it's all started off. I did some work with Andre Ulufsa in Hermanus in South Africa. His kind of thing is natural movement, Tai Chi, and boxing, and how to remain calm under pressure. Highly recommend checking him out if that interests you at all. Like, he knows what he's talking about, and it's helped me a lot. Even in just our even just from our brief encounter. So I've noticed that fighters, they they have like, obviously it's like exterior, but if you just meet them in presence, they're so like good. I don't know what word to use other than good. And I think that's because they have integrated their aggression, and a lot of men, like in our culture, we have none of that, and so it's always there, and it's like gonna, but because they have it, that it doesn't need to come out in like these shadowy ways. Um, so that's been really interesting for me to view and appreciate. Uh, yeah, I'll leave it there. We'll see how things unfold and if I add to that story. So let me just end off with a quick little um, poem, I suppose, that I wrote, and then just because it's bad, I'll say I wrote it in 3 minutes. Um, I was having, like, I got thrown a bit about a week ago, and it got a little bit dysregulated, and negative thinking patterns started to take hold, and I started to feel myself getting a little bit into despair, um, and then was lifted out divinely, and then obviously there's a participatory element in that. Because the divine is always reaching out for you, but then like we can people who have experienced this will know, or who have come out of it, at least when you're in it, you don't know. But bouts of depression and stuff is that like it becomes safe to remain depressed and remain in the known, and there's almost like an aversion, well, it's definitely an aversion, but there's like an anger towards anything that then seeks to like lift you out of it, which is quite an interesting thing to recognize, that you do it to yourself at some point. Just keep going down the hole, digging it deeper. Um, yeah, and there's really nothing. There's no sense of duty or discipline or order or anything that can bring you out of it. There needs to be something bigger than that. Um, and for I recognized this a long time ago, and I didn't know what that thing was. And then the love of the divine, that's what it is. It's the only thing that's powerful enough to bring one out of that kind of despair. Um, I hear there's a lot of like talk in the male online space at the moment about like discipline over motivation, and that kind of like stoic Sigma grind kind of thing. Um, and yeah, I get that. Like, be disciplined um, is to do something regardless of a feeling state, because often those feeling states are instantiated by a pattern that's not helpful, and so you want to overcome that pattern. So don't listen to that feeling. Like, okay, good. But then there's times, and then there's times like, why be disciplined? Like, there's got to be something that's motivating you to then make that choice, and then that why, finding that why is critical for the whole process, and there's no why there's no why bigger than that which is oriented towards the divine. um, I mean, people who've had substance abuse issues and then come out of it will also understand this, is that like you'll always go back because it feels better than everything else. Like it just feels, and it doesn't matter if you know how destructive it is for your life. Like the reason that it has a grip on you is because you feel that there's nothing, because it's you get what you're gaining from it, um, or what it helps you avoid is valued more than the destruction that it's having. You're more afraid of what will happen when you don't have it. That's poorly worded. Um, Story for another time, I suppose. But when you feel the love of God, as a manner of speaking, that immediately becomes a better feeling than the high from whatever the substance is. And then not because you're like a strong person or like that's nothing that you have done that like you can use as like some sort of self-aggrandizement uh, is going to get you out of the thing. Like, oh, I stopped this. Often when people speak like that, they've just shifted the addiction to something else. Like, stop smoking, but now you drink a shitload of coffee or something, as an example. Um, the only thing that truly alleviates it is experiencing divine love, because then that then becomes the greatest feeling, and then you want that feeling. Like the nervous systems are designed in such a way to move towards what feels good and away from what feels bad. So if you want to get over um, something, but it's the best thing that you've ever felt, like it's just not going to happen. Uh, so the grace of it then is that there's nothing that feels better than divine love. So when you feel that, then immediately there's a shift, and then you just have to. Then the effort comes in, but it's really like it's synergistic with the design of the body, and that like it feels better, so it's easier to go towards it. Um, okay, clear eyes, big heart. Let's go on. Not your fault you fell down, but you gotta get up, gotta get on. He knows your heart, he knows your ways. Stand in the gap, 'cause no one's coming. When you know his love, you'll know your why. Forgiveness will turn the light on.